Okay, this is going to be about cleaning the Faucet Aerator. That is this thing, the tip of the faucet. So it comes off and there's a few parts. The gasket, that's usually between the aerator and the rest of the faucet. And there's some ports inside which are hard to get out, but I already did some work behind the camera, so I'm going to easily pull it out now. There's some filters that I guess this would be a housing for them. That'll go aside. That doesn't really need much cleaning, but there was a lot of sand in here, more than is visible right now. As a matter of fact, it's very dirty, full of sand and all sorts of maybe carbon and stuff. And this part also needs to be cleaned, so I'm gonna separate them. Oh, it went in, great. Then I'll show you how I do that with a screwdriver from the side, by going each side a little bit at a time. And that pops out. Remember how it went in? It's quite dirty. So I'll be using different methods for cleaning the different parts. This has a wire mesh and there's like no light coming through it, so let's see how we're gonna clean that. So I'm gonna take a bottle cap, just a bottle cap from any like soft drink or whatever, and put this part in there. And then I'll put that aside. I'm going to take some pipe opener, drain opener, whatever, and carefully pour a bit of that in there. So let's see how much there is. Yeah, that should do it. That's covering it. A bit went on my finger, so I'm going to wash that off as soon as possible, because it is quite corrosive and stuff like that. I want to put it on a level surface. This isn't a level surface. I'll probably put it on the side of my bathtub. And how long is that gonna stay? Well, it's gonna stay like that for whatever it says on the instructions of your drain opener. So this one says 15 minutes for allowing it to work and 30 minutes for tough clogs. So I think 15 is good enough for that. Maybe give it 20. Now for this plastic part, I have a few ideas. I would like to hold it by the back using pliers, and then I'm thinking I'm going to use my vacuum cleaner and position it like so and try to suck the pieces of sand and stuff out. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to do that behind the scenes because nobody needs to hear what a loud vacuum cleaner sounds like. Let's see what happens. So, two things. Yes, the vacuum kinda sorta helped, but while fiddling with it I said, shouldn't this be able to come apart? So I took a pin, you could use a needle, anything that resembles one, a pin, and I put it in here on the side and started wedging it, and lo and behold, this thing does come apart into two halves. That's the most you could take it apart, most level. And now it'll be really easy to clean it out because everything that was trapped is going to come out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the vacuum again, maybe even just like slightly slam it against something, not to break it or anything, loosen everything up. I could also poke the stuff out individually using the pin, right? So I'll go ahead and do that and get back to the results. So I've cleaned it out, and a good way to check if you missed any spots, you know, as far as with the needle poking through, getting rid of all the bits that might have been caught inside the filter, is to put it up against some light, a source of light. Could be daylight, could be a light bulb, and you look through it, and then you just poke out whatever you missed. This one looks pretty good. Now, to reassemble these two halves, remember how they came together? So put that in and push it in until you hear a little snap, and you can pretty much gauge that it, uniformly went in all the way. So that looks good. Yeah, I know it's a little like orange stained or something. That doesn't block the holes. That's just whatever. I'm not going to bother trying to use some chemicals to get out that discoloration. That does not impair its function. So this part's ready. Checking on the mesh now. It's looking good. Maybe shake it around a little bit. Some time has passed. It needs about 10 more minutes, maybe a little bit more than that, but it's doing great. And in the meanwhile, I actually want to clean this rubber gasket a little bit, and for that I think I want to use a little spritz of WD-40. So spray that on there, just a little bit. We heard it, so I think just moving it like that into the paper towel will do it just enough good. And the other side, of course, I switched and do the other side. Maybe even do the side of the gasket. It's looking good. It's clean. Put that aside. And what else I want to do in the meanwhile, while we're waiting on that part that's soaking in the pipe cleaner, the pipe opener, spray some more on here. Okay. And I want to clean this housing, so I'm going to open this up so I can fit it in there easier. Put that in there, right where the WD-40 is, and spin it around. Just get it nice and clean on the inside. It also helps it be shiny on the outside, so my fingers are inadvertently touching it, so it's cosmetically improving the outside, but I could just do a dedicated cleaning on the outside. See the pieces of sand and whatever the hell came out. I'll do a little bit more. Maybe apply even more pressure, like this, so like my fingers are pushing that way of my right hand while I spin it with the left hand. Maybe spin it the other way. This thumb right here, left hand, that's giving it the pressure now from the inside to clean it. Maybe even come in from the other way, go this way, and could dry it off a bit by folding the paper towel to the drier side, side. So clean that. Then do the outside. It's looking nice and chromatic. But that's not all. I want to go yet another extra mile, which is my WD-40 white lithium grease. So I'd like to apply that right on there, the other side of the paper towel. I'm a minimalist. I will reuse the same paper towel just because I can. It's a good skill to acquire, being a minimalist, because you could always, waste stuff. That's not an art, that's not a skill. But if you're trained to work with limited amount of supplies and whatnot, it can only be a useful skill that you'll take with you everywhere you go. It'll come in handy when you least expect it. So now with the white lithium grease, work that in. And I will be washing my hands after I'm done with this. Not afraid of WD-40. I heard some people even use it as a skin conditioner, but the white lithium grease though, I don't want that on my fingers for too long. So everything is looking good in there. And I'll wipe it off on the little bit of dry part that's here and set that aside again. Alright. Another thing while I'm at it, there is the thread right here, which holds the aerator. So I want to use some white lithium grease on that too, because I do see a bit of corrosion on it, and some cleaning will help it last longer and help me assemble it smoother. So I want to make sure the thread is nice and clean and protected. I'll even apply some more. Mark that in there. Alright, looks pretty good. Alright, about 15 or 20 minutes has passed and it's already looking good. I can see through the liquid that it's looking good. Looking much better than when it started. Take it out. So what I'm actually going to do is wash it out at a different sink, because I don't want this one to get wet again, because for the sake of the gasket, when I put it back together, I want it to be dry, so that the parts like the thread and everything, it's going to be dry. So there it is. It has been cleaned, it has been washed out, and I actually had some time to dry it. Now you want to use like a strong stream of water, don't use like a weak sink. What I did actually is use this garden sprayer. It has a lot of pressure if you pump it up. So, and now the most important thing is you want to blast in the direction opposite to the flow of the water as it would normally come out. So like this goes this way into the sink, right? So it comes out of that end, but you want to blast it backwards, you know, back where it came from, because most of the stuff collects up in here. So you want to force it that way. You don't want to force it through, you want to force it back out, whatever debris. So you want to position it this way. So once again, water usually comes out from here out, and you want to put your nozzle or whatever right there and blast it opposite the direction and it usually comes out. Okay, it's time for the reassembly. So this part first, drop the plastic filter parts in there and push that in. And that's as far as it goes. If we look inside, it's hard to see, but that plastic center in there, it's already pushing on the metal mesh. So, and this part goes down in here this way. Look from the other side to see, and that's as far as it goes. And then the washer, the gasket rather, the gasket. So that should theoretically do it. Push the gasket in some more to make sure that the thread is exposed, and then screw it back on. I like to hand tighten it. Don't need to use any tools because then it's really hard to get off anyway. Okay, so I guess now the moment of truth, eh? Here we go. Okay, beautiful. Working just as it's supposed to. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it was informative and helpful.